Thank you. I'm saying too much. I wanted to talk about the Jubilee year, and the main point is sort of to really follow God. It's really a challenge to follow God completely in our lives. A challenge. But somehow true parents did it, and they created a whole different reality, a whole different world. But for us to get into that world, put ourselves in that world, it takes a lot of effort. And so in the Bible, and also in True Father, he used the term the Jubilee year to sort of introduce what that world is about. And the Jubilee year is a year of rest. A year of rest, more than rest. But in the Bible, God was very serious about resting. So God made the seventh day a day of rest. No work. It's rest, seventh day. Then, if that was, well, we can handle that one. 1 day a week we rest. That's great. I love it. But then God said, well, you really got to get the point now. And he said, the seventh year is a year of rest. Which means, back then it was an agrarian society. You don't plant, you don't weed, you don't fertilize, you just let your crops go. And whatever they produce, that's what you eat. So that takes a lot of faith, right? 1 year, you're going to let it all go. You're a farmer. You're just going to let it grow. You're going to let the worms, the weeds, the bugs have their due, have their day. You just take what God produces, that's for you. Not so easy. You really have to have faith in God. But then God took it up another notch. The 50th year. So 7 times 7. 7th day, then 7th year, then, 7 times 7 years, then the next year, that's 49 years the next year, 50th year, that's called the Jubilee year. And it's in Leviticus 25. Oh, thank you. Leviticus 25, that's where it is. And there's no record, according to the Bible study I went to, there's no record that Israel ever practiced the Jubilee year. And you can see why. It's not easy. That's the same principle of rest. It's illuminated what God means. Okay, so I'm going to quote from 25:10a. Bible scholars, they have A, B, Bible verse. If they want to cut it in half, there's 10a, there's 10b. So we're going to look at 10a first. Consecrate the 50th year, and proclaim liberty throughout the land, and to all its inhabitants. It shall be a jubilee for you. So does this ring a bell for you? It rings the Liberty Bell, right? This is on the Liberty Bell, not the whole thing. This is on the Liberty Bell. In Philadelphia, Independence Hall, American Revolution, independence, we're free, we're liberated, everything's a new day. That's really good. So they put this on the bell. Proclaim liberty throughout the land and to all its inhabitants. So they didn't put this, consecrate the 50th year, and it shall be a jubilee for you. So what's that about? What is the jubilee? What is liberty? What does it mean by liberty and jubilee? 10b, if you go on in this verse, explains. Each one of you is to return to his family property and each to his own clan. That's what liberty means. That's the meaning of the Jubilee year. And then verse 25:41 fills it out a little more. Then he and his children are to be released, and he will go back to his own clan and to the property of his forefathers. So it means that if you sold your house and you moved somewhere, in the 50th year, you moved back to your house. Whoever you sold it to, they moved back to their house. Whoever, they sold it, everything goes back to where it was 50 years ago, as far as property and debts. All property sales and all debts are wiped clean. So back in the Bible time, debts, how did people pay their debts? They indentured themselves and their whole families as servants or slaves. You go to debt, you become the slave of the person till you work off your debt. So it means all the slaves are released. All the servants, indentured servants, you're all released. No more debt, you go back home. Go back to your family and your clan. That's kind of difficult, right? But it's in the Bible. And so I like the Pentateuch because there, Heavenly Father, Heavenly Parent, gave at least the formation stage picture of what an ideal nation is supposed to really look like. Here's how you're supposed to, here's your laws, here's how you're supposed to live. On the earth as my chosen people. So a true Father told us to return to our hometown. What did he mean? So let's read Father's words. In returning to your hometown, where are you to go? You're not returning to your country. You're going back to your original home. Where is the original home? The hometown is not based on the standard of the fallen Adam and Eve. When we say we are returning to our hometown, we are referring to the hometown of the unfallen, original, perfected Adam and Eve. That is where God is. So whether you went to your literal hometown, such as John the Paces did, and Honeycutts, the literal hometown, they went back, or not, to some other, we're all, just because you're in your literal hometown doesn't mean you're in your original hometown yet. And so I think a lot of us found, I went to my hometown, but it's still really rough. It's not so, because we're really supposed to get to our original hometown. Ideally, that's our literal hometown, but it may or may not be. His father also believed in migration strongly, but encouraged the whole world that everybody's going to migrate. Obviously, everybody's leaving their hometowns. But it's not connected to the fallen Adam and Eve. Okay. So the two parents, do you remember Father talked about Jubilee year? It's a Jubilee year. Jubilee year, it was actually ended up 2 years, as far as I recall, 2006, 2007. So Father called it Jubilee year. And what happened? True parents returned to Korea. They went back to their hometown. And if you, at East Garden, Father for days on end, a couple of weeks, was giving away, true parents was giving away their stuff to the members. And there was a lottery. And you could get Father's tie, Father's belt, Father's shirt, Mother's this and that. They're giving away everything. That means, getting rid of it all, going back. They returned to Korea, and they went to the palace, the original palace, original hometown. And they conducted the 180 Nation Speaking Tour of the 3-generation true family and religious leaders. 180 nations and 12 cities in every nation by the 3-generation true family and leaders of various religions. Christian, Buddhist, Jewish, Muslim, Hindu, all participating, giving the blessing and giving the word in that Jubilee year. So these were referred to, I don't know, this is the name that I found in the John Bumagam, Universal Peace Federation Gatherings for the Return to the Original Fatherland and Hometown. It's all about going back to hometown. So true parents did it. So this completed the true family, my understanding, true family provident and tribe, true family and true tribe, providence completely settled, substantiated on the earth, centered on the Jubilee year, coming back, everything released, and original hometown. What about us? And this is rest. This is to rest. Now they can rest. What about us? Can we rest? What does it mean to rest? They weren't really resting, right? They were working very, very, very hard. But what kind of work were they doing? Through Father, so many times, gave all the time, gave strong directions, big directions, such as put on a rally of 10,000 people in Washington, D.C., or in sub-region 2, which means Washington, in like September or something like that. That takes a lot of work, right? We think it takes a lot of work. And for Father, always would give these directions. And then, what would Father say? Then, okay, his directions. But then he'd speak another hour. We gotta go work, we gotta work. He speaks another hour, another 5 hours, another 10 hours. And then let's go fishing. So, it's not so simple, rest and work. Rest means giving everything, I think. Having the faith of the lilies of the field. Now, Jesus says, look at the lilies of the field. They don't work. But even Solomon, in all of his glory, wasn't arrayed like they are. Wasn't as beautiful as they are. They don't work. They're resting. No, they're actually working, but they're completely working within the principle. I guess that way. They are completely united with the principle of creation, which, that's what it means, rest. Rest means you're totally united with the principle of creation. And this fallen world is not, so we gotta leave it. You gotta stop selling and buying and growing and reaping and all that. You gotta go through a period of separation. In the kingdom, we do what we love to do for others in faith. So work, some of you, I don't know, I hope all of us love what we do. And I know I love what I do. And so it's not work. If you really don't like what you're doing, maybe you don't like to wash the dishes. And you're washing the dishes, that's really work. Work is hard. Or cleaning. Yesterday I cleaned and cleaned. And I guess I don't really unite with that so much because I was so exhausted at the end. But when I was out doing what I love to do, you don't get exhausted. Anyway, get energy. So, you're doing what you love to do for others in faith. And then you have faith that it will work. That's really that means filial piety, really. That means you sacrifice, you give everything for your parents. And from a practical, point of view, or a fallen world point of view, I don't have anything left. But you have to believe God will work. God will do the work, the 95%. God does the work. You give without expecting a return. Really. Like you sold your house, I made a big profit, I got a lot of money. And then 50 years later, give it back. Because that's the principle. You give without expecting any return. And then you let God design the outcome. Let God will design the outcome to be much greater than you could ever do by yourself, through your own work. It requires self-denial, which is what Leviticus tells us. Remember that those passages were from Leviticus 25. Here's Leviticus 23, where Moses starts talking about the Sabbath rest. Here's what he says about the rest. Hold a sacred assembly and deny yourselves. It's just to deny yourselves. We get to rest. How does that deny yourself? It is a Sabbath of rest for you, and you must deny yourselves. Anyone who does not deny himself on that day must be cut off from his people. So God's serious about this. That means we're all itching to work. I gotta milk the cow, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. Deny yourself. Just chill. That's the word now, chill. Okay, another Jesus example. Jesus, Jesus, everybody's hungry. They got to go. There's no food. There's no food. Jesus said, calm down. How many of those, the loaves and fishes? Everybody ate plenty and there was tons left over. They just rest. There's the food. Another Jesus example, or text. Come to me, you who are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. That means you don't have to work, you're not going to do things. You're going to do things, but it will be at rest, at peace. Another one, Martha. Martha, you're worried about many things. The two sisters, right? And one is working and cleaning and washing and cooking and then the other one is just sitting, and Mary is sitting and listening to Jesus. And then Martha's like complaining about, oh, my sister, Jesus, tell her she's got to help me. I'm working so hard. And then Martha, why are you worried about many things? Jesus tells her it's good. Just rest. Not just rest. Inherit her heart that is connected to me, that knows my heart. And another event in Jesus' life illustrates the difference between work and rest. It's in John 12. Then Mary took about a pint of pure nard, an expensive perfume. She poured it on Jesus' feet and wiped his feet with her hair. And the house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. So it's a really beautiful scene, attending Jesus, and everything is so beautiful. The house is filled with this beautiful fragrance of the love of Jesus, of the Lord, of God. Now what happened? Okay, this was Jesus and Mary Magdalene resting in God. Then what happened? But one of his disciples, Judas Iscariot, who was later to betray him, objected. Why wasn't this perfume sold and the money given to the poor? It was worth a year's wages. We could have done a good deed. Jesus got some better PR with the Sadducees if we sold that and given it to the poor. Come on, Jesus, I'm more righteous than you. I'm thinking about, etc., etc. So this is the mindset of work. And the Bible goes on and says, he did not say this because he cared about the poor, but because he was a thief. As keeper of the money bag, he used to help himself to what was put in it. All well justified, I'm sure. He's taking a little money from the money bag. Oh, geez, I missed breakfast today. Or who knows what. I left my family. I left my house. They got work to do on the roof. All well justified, certainly. But this is the result of. But it was thievery. The result of work in the fallen world is thievery and betrayal. That's Judas's path, and that's kind of the environment of the fallen world. Why is there so many regulations? Because there's so much thievery. Betrayal. Second, Father's words. Exactly the same point. If you were to say, I have purchased a 20-story building in Yeongdong, and for that reason I don't want to go to my hometown, you would bequeath bitter sorrow to your descendants for tens of thousands of years to come. It would be as if a villain drove a stake into their heart. Very well, very reasonable. Look, I'm owning this building. I'm here, Father. I can't go. Has any member of the human race on this earth not borne a grudge against Adam and Eve for their wrongdoing? So would you trade your hometown simply to possess a building? Father's not talking about, your literal hometown. What about that person's heart? Where's your heart? It's in the building that you bought, that you somehow got possession of, and you're making a lot of money off of. Would you trade your original hometown for that? There's a story of fathers giving away the bank. I may have said this before here, but it's worth repeating. The father wanted to buy a building, a church, a new church. So then this was told by a bookkeeper, by a Korean elder who heard it from the bookkeeper, the Korean bookkeeper at the time. And father asked how much money is in the bank, and they said, we have this much. It wasn't nearly enough to buy this building, or put the down payment, or whatever they needed. And so father said, get the money out, cash, take it all out. And the bookkeeper did so, and gave it all to father. And father went to the marketplace and gave all the money to everybody, to the people in the market. He just gave it all away. And he went back to the church and prayed. And the next day, someone came who had a dream and gave this huge donation. And they could put it to that use. So that's faith. That is faith. That's a kind of faith. For 1 year, don't work. Don't plant seed. Don't put in seeds. Don't weed. Don't push away, scare away the birds. Just let it grow, and just eat what comes. And the 50th year, go back. And then in the Bible it says God, look you guys, Moses says, in that year, that 7th year, God will give you enough in the 6th year that you'll have plenty of food that you can store, and it's more than enough for the 7th year and the 8th year too, like that. So it's a principle of tithing. Malachi says if you tithe fully, like God says to tithe, your warehouses will be overflowing. So the tribal messiahship needs to practice this. Okay, then I have a second, that's the end of the sermon. And I wanted to share a little bit about what I was asked to do. Where's our pastor? No, it's okay. I just wanted to blame him because he asked me to do it. Share a little bit about the 430,000. Just a little bit. Oh, no, there's a little more. I'm sorry. No, this is important. When you do return to your hometown, you need to establish this housekeeping. Thanks, friend. Okay, 430. Okay, this is just some takeaways. First, if you want to bless 430 couples, which is what is on our to-do list, as put there by True Mother, True Father, first you've got to set your mind to it. So to do that, you have to overcome some things. Number one, criticisms of it. Or this is what I had to go through. I don't know about you, but maybe, criticisms of it, doubt that you can accomplish it, and plain old inertia. Okay, so that's first. Second is, just do it. It's the experimental stage through which you figure out the way to succeed. So you got to try. Once you decide you're going to do it, set your mind to it, then you have, how? How do I do it? And then you have to experiment. Or at least I did. Try this, try that, etc. Until you figure out, that's the way that works for me, for us, for my couple. So that's the second point. So during the experimental stage, you probably won't get a lot of results, but you're making the foundation to figure out the way it works. And then so you find your message. You find the message that clicks, the spiel if you want, the sales pitch if you're a salesperson. What do you say to help the people understand what it's about? The message. And then make a routine. Just do it every day, or every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or every, whatever it is. At least I had to do this. Yeah. I had to find a message, and then I had to make a routine. Or we had to, our couple. Unite as a couple. You need to support each other spiritually, physically. You're in it together. You're doing it for each other, for God. Unite as a couple. And you will be challenged to give more than you expect. And this goes back to the Jubilee year in a way, where all of a sudden, hey, it's a 50th year, I'm doing really well, I've got a couple of houses, I've got a big farm, etc. Oh, that doesn't belong to you anymore. Go back to where, go back to your grandfather's farm, and you know who you're going to meet there? All your clan, your family, your clan, your cousins, your uncles, your nephews, your second cousins, third cousins, whom you haven't seen for who knows how long. Your whole clan's going to get together. That's what Father's all about, is keeping the clan together. That's the whole point. Go to your hometown. That's who you meet there, the original hometown. And it's all centered on God, and you go there with nothing. You're all broke because you all sold or gave away everything that you had. You go back, but there it is. And you find yourself incredibly wealthy because you have your clan, your family, and your clan. And God will bless so abundantly. You gave more than you wanted to give. You gave everything, and then you went back and you received that blessing. So, same thing with the blessing, at least for us. There's certain points where you're going to be challenged to give more than you expect. Okay, let's pray. Most beloved Heavenly Parent, true parents, thank you so much for blessing us with this new week. This is actually the Sabbath day, Father, the day that we devote to you and we gather with our family, Father, with our clan. And we feel a lot of energy and blessing, gratitude, Father. Father, and we know that we're connecting to the spirit of the Old Testament age, Moses, and the chosen people of Israel, to Jesus and the chosen people of Christianity, and to true parents, and to the chosen people of all religions, Father, all faiths, races, and nations. Thank you, Father, allowing us to represent and now give the blessing to all these chosen people, Father, who don't know they're chosen. At least they don't know they're chosen by the Messiah, by true parents, Father, Rachel Hope. Father, usually we also forget that we're chosen. And we want to remember and want to live on that standard, Father, and strive to make it real in our own situation that you will give it to us, Father. We support this, offer this time together, in the name of Tyler and Hayam Hendricks and all of our blessed central families together. Amen. Okay, let's have a moment of reflection.